Hello, BCBC.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the food. Do you have apples?
Yeah.
Did you have dates?
Yeah.
Did you have milk?
Yeah.
Can you say thank you for the hot dogs? And the breakfast hot dogs? And bacon?
Yeah.
And back bacon?
Yeah.
Chicken?
Yeah.
Can you say chicken?
Chicken.
Chicken for potatoes?
Yeah.
You say potato?
Yeah.
Say potato?
Yeah.
Ground beef?
Yeah.
Cows?
Yeah.
Ooh. For toys?
Yeah.
For blankets?
Yeah.
So many kind things. We're so thankful.
Teacher.
We love you guys.
We just feel so cared for and taken care of by you guys. We really, really appreciate it. And thank you for all the work and effort you guys put into this.
So you prayed for our border crossing when we were in the truck. We drove and we drove and we drove and we drove, and the border guard was so kind to us and gentle and patient when we didn't have some of the details quite together.
We didn't have the address of where we were staying.
No, we had the address, we just didn't have the building number. So we told them we were in apartment D, but we didn't know which building. So anyways, we got that all sorted out, and they've been calling in to check on us, and today we got a message that said, congratulations, you're on day 8.
You're over halfway.
And your efforts have helped to
Save the lives of
Canadians.
Canadians.
So we're excited about that. We're excited about being half done, and we're excited that maybe we'll get to have porch visits with you guys soon.
In case you guys are curious, some of the classes that we had taken this spring were Suffering, Communications Universals, Practical Spirituality, New Testament Church Principles, number 2, Pre-Evangelism, which was actually really good and really challenging, talking about that segment of time before you begin to evangelize to the people. We had Ministry Partnership Development, Phonemics, Global Team, CLA Theory and Methodology, number 1, Romans chapters 6 to 8. We also had a class on scratch cooking, which was actually pretty interesting, like the whole dynamic of trying to survive in the jungle with what kind of food you had available to you, and bringing it on the helicopter and how much time it takes, and getting a meal plan set up and making sure your food doesn't go bad or get rodent infested within the first few hours. So that was actually a lot more interesting than I'd expected. We also had a grammar class, which is a lot different than what you guys are thinking about our Western grammar classes that we had in school, but rather it's looking at a language and then trying to break it down and figure out the patterns and the strategy behind, okay, how am I gonna actually learn this unlearned language before? So that was a real challenge, and it was a really good class. And then we also discussed folk Buddhism and animism, and then families and education, which was interesting, looking at, okay, how are we gonna homeschool? Are we gonna homeschool? Are we using different international schools or Christian schools? What are the different options? What are the pros and the cons and the difficulties of that? And then we also had a phonetics class, the first half of it.
Which we're gonna show you a little bit of what that phonetics class was.
Okay, so here are a list of my family's names on the left, how we would spell them in typical English. Now for phonetics, how you would say my name if you did happen to spell it that way is difficult to say, but so if you said my name, it would be something like this. Brondta. So that's like in slow motion. You have to like get the lips rolling on the first B. Brondta. And then Lanie's name, if you were going to say that, it would be Lanie-Joy. And then you have your other Jackson, Boaz are spelled like this. Now, all these letters, you can say that's a J or a digraph, a K, S, schwa, N. Or every letter also has a technical name. So if you're talking to another phonetician, the J, you would say a palatal voiced semivowel. Or the digraph, you'd say a near open front vowel. Or a velar voiceless unaspirated stop is your K. The S is an alveolar voiceless fricative. Your schwa is a mid-central vowel. And then your N is an alveolar voiced nasal. So we're not only learning all these different letters, but also their technical names and their point of articulation in your mouth, and the manner in which they are articulated is all within that technical name. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of memorization, and a lot of laughing at yourself and getting laughed at in class, but it was good. So a class like this is useful when you show up to a new culture with an unwritten language and you are attempting to give them an alphabet. Now, you're not necessarily going to use the same 26 letters that we have in our language, but you also don't want hundreds of characters like you do in Mandarin, for example. So it's finding the middle ground of what is good for that specific language and culture. And so when you're analyzing the language, you are using these different phonetic symbols to break it down, figure out the patterns, how they speak, how it also aligns with their culture as well. And then with your phonetics, then you're able to write it down and make them an alphabet, which is called phonemics. So from there, for an example, like our English language, the sound oo we spell it 10 different ways. So everybody knows English is so confusing, and the sound O, there's at least 8 ways of spelling that. There's probably more. I was just trying to remember and think of different ways to spell it and writing them down. So it's so inconsistent and difficult. We're not wanting to create a language that is that complicated and hard to learn. And also, if we are building this phonetic system and we have to leave or something, all of our data is recorded, and so the next family or whoever comes in next has already a head start of all the work that we have done. It's not they have to start over and all of our work is gone. There's a set way of doing this phonetic class that we've been working on. So it's pretty cool and exciting, and a little daunting as well, trying to figure out what this is going to look like in the future.
So overall, we've just been learning to walk with the Lord with a lot of unknowns, as many of you guys have been learning here. COVID-19 has really thrown a wrench in a lot of people's plans and expectations and just realities. We've been walking right with you as we've adjusted and are looking to the Lord with the new normals that seem to keep changing. And this very similar lesson that we're learning with Jackson's health, we're so thankful that his development and his energies and his learning and communication abilities, all those things are progressing, and he's just a happy little boy. And we're just looking to the Lord for this next couple appointments coming up. That's June 29th and July 15th. We'd love if you guys could be praying with us for those. But yeah, we're just trusting that the Lord already knows exactly what the doctors are going to say. We're praying for discernment and wisdom as we take what they say and implement it into our lives. So
now, despite all these typical challenges that we're all facing because of COVID, it also has been a really good time and a real blessing that the Lord has given to us, being that we're both home with Jackson now, so that's a lot of sets of eyes just continually watching him, so we can be really close on monitoring his different seizures. And seizures have like so many different ways of manifesting themselves that we're still learning about. So trying to like put this whole puzzle together piece by piece. And it's coming. Lord's been giving us information slowly but surely with all these different doctors and appointments that we've had. So that's been a blessing, having that committed time, and also us just learning and researching and trying to take this into our own hands, because I'm tempted to think, okay, these doctors, they've spent their whole lives, we'll just trust them and they can do all the work and they can figure things out. But Lord has been challenging me through different staff and different people that we've talked to that, this is something, our children's health is something that we have to take charge in, and we have to take ownership, and the Lord has given us responsibility. So investing the time in doing that research, and it's been really challenging. It's been really good, and Boaz is doing really well. I mean, all this time spent, all he does really is eat around here, so he's a real hunk. Boaz, over here. Oh, there you go. So he's happy and healthy and doing great. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Right before I hit